we lost our biggest client. So this happened a couple years in, and when we lost, it was around 30% of our revenue, and we had never hit a roadblock like this. We had never done that before. So I knew when that happened, we needed to do a deep dive. We needed to understand why this happened, what the core problem was, what if there were nuances to the situation. Essentially, we needed a true discovery of why this happened, because we had no clue right off the bat. So from there, my focus was, all right, if we're looking at this, it's a client leaving the company, right? There's a couple key pieces that you can think of when a client leaves your commercial cleaning company, right? If they're silent, if they're not really responding to anything you're saying, that was something that we didn't think about at first, but it ended up being a core piece of that. Usually we came to the idea of, hey, if we have a company or a client of ours that is not enjoying our services, they're going to be communicating to us, they're going to be upset, they're going to be frustrated. However, with this client, they kind of just went silent. They weren't responding to our biweekly check-ins, they weren't really communicating with us. For us, we realized that this was something that we just didn't have data on. We didn't understand that this was an issue. And essentially what happened from there was we had a discovery in seeing that data was a really big missing piece of our business. And essentially it tied to other core pieces of this main issue that we had. And we figured out this issue was three things. It was data, organization, and decision making. We call it D.O.D. at Big League Clean. This was the core issue that we had. Now, as we went and jumped into that journey of trying to figure out how do we solve for D.O.D., how do we solve for data, how do we solve for organization, and then how do we solve for decision making, those three things tied together, that was our realization that, like, how do we attack this? Now, what we discovered shortly after was that D.O.D., it didn't just affect account management, right? It didn't just affect us losing that client. It didn't affect only the account management department. It affected every single department. We just weren't seeing the data that we should. So we didn't have it organized in the way that we wanted. We didn't have the data, number one. We didn't have it organized in the way that we wanted to, number two. And then number three, the decision making that we were able to make was skewed because we didn't have the data that we needed organized in the way we needed to. So our company really was, we were missing data and then information to make decisions faster and visuals to understand it better. And basically, for what we knew our goals were, we knew we had to solve that. So let me walk you through each part of D.O.D. so you can understand the analytical review that we had when we went through it, because this is going to lead to what the solutions are that we put in place that completely changed our business, which I'll be getting into shortly. So for the first part of data, or D.O.D., we have data. My main issue was data was scattered everywhere across departments. We had some concentrated sections. For example, in sales, we have a CRM. That's nice, right? You have a HubSpot, you have a Salesforce, whatever your CRM is, we use Go High Level. We had concentrated data. However, my main issue with that was the data that we had concentrated there was specific, and it was missing certain aspects of the department that I wanted to. For example, when you have a CRM, you can tie in email, right? You can tie in different aspects of the department, which is nice, but that's in sales. In other departments, there's so many aspects of data that contribute to having an overall strong picture of the department that you might not have a system like a CRM in a sales department to combine everything, right? And that was my main issue in account management, in compliance, in marketing, all these different departments that we have in finance. I want to have the complete picture of data. I just don't want a concentrated little section of data. I want the complete picture. Every single communication, every single point of data, I want contributing to this source, this data source that has all of it. So that was my first piece. The second piece was the time to find the data was slow. If it's myself, a team member, whatever it is, really finding data, if you ask yourself how you're doing that, it's right, you're digging into reports, you're digging into different softwares that you find. It takes time and there's human error involved. So for me, it wasn't cohesive. The data was scattered and it wasn't all in one place. There was that was a really big problem for me right off the bat that I realized coming from this wound of this issue that happened for us. Now, Organization being the second part of this ties heavily to the first issue of D.O.D, which is that when you have the correct data, the key piece to that is then being able to organize it in a sense where you can understand it and then make decisions off of it. That's the way that I viewed it. And for us, just having the right data wasn't enough, because we were able to go ahead, get that data, but then making decisions is one whole other piece. Now, making decisions for your employees, for other people of part of different teams that need to see the data in different ways, that was just a whole new level to it. When I was thinking through it, I realized the organization side, it has to be malleable. And while you do have, for example, in like a Salesforce or a HubSpot, right, or go high level, these CRMs that you have, you're able to organize the data in a way, but it's rigid. They're big companies, and it's structured in a way that the layout is to what you can see. So for me, it was can I make it malleable? Can I develop these dashboards, essentially, the way that I'm organizing this data in a way that makes sense to me, that's clear? Can I organize it in a way that makes sense to a sales rep on our team, in a way that makes sense to an account manager? Can I change around the pieces of information in the layout visually so that it's clear for them and the data is organized properly? So that piece, that second piece, organization, once we started thinking through that, it really changed how we viewed all this, because we realized this is a process of what we're doing, is we're really making this our own. And we're making this tied to our own company and what we truly need in solving our own issues. And once we were able to do that, and we were able to get the data, we were able to organize it in the departments for the specific team members and the views that we needed to see, we were able to understand it and then make decisions faster, which is the third part of D.O.D. So for decision making, really for us, it was understanding how much time does it take to make an informed decision. And the realization was it was slow. It was too slow. It depended on multiple variables, but at a small company, you can make decisions faster than a larger company, right? But the issue was that decisions we were making were still manual. We were still talking internally. We still had to gather reports and analyze the data and understand which way do we want to go. So for us, we did not want, right, manual decisions to take all that time, or even to have to make manual decisions in the first place. We wanted a system to create a decision-making process to guide us. So for us then, it was, okay, how can we have the previous data, right? And how can we go ahead and then take all that, the manual layouts that we have, and have it laid out in a way that makes sense, and then be able to make decisions, reducing the actual time it takes, reducing the manual effort, and then reducing human error. All of those things which are tied to decision making when you have to go about it in a way that is slow and heavily manual. So our solution, how Bigly Clean solved the issue of D.O.D, what we did. I created a layering, 4 layers of something that is called essentially hyper-connectedness. And the idea behind this is that you're getting the data, number 1. You're seeing the data clearly, number 2. You're extracting the data very quickly, number 3, using bots to communicate. And then number 4, you're moving quickly. So you have a brain built on top of that. And now from a technical lens, the way that I viewed it was getting the data. It's full department data ingestion in one place. I want every single piece of software that contributes to a data point tied to the department. I want all of that in one place for every single department. So all of my departments, every single data point I could possibly have for my company is in one singular place. Second one, seeing the data clearly. All of that data that's being ingested, I want malleable, customizable dashboards that I can change the view to how I'm going to see to create value for myself in making decisions. Same for our team members. Next, after that, extracting data quickly. I need bots. I need layers of communication on top of it to talk to understand it further, to go in depth. That is the third piece. Number 4 is moving at hyperspeed. Can I have the system be a brain for me? Can I have it make decisions? Can I have it move? Can I have it tell me and predict patterns? That is the fourth part. To me, all of this, when we realized this, we understood the problem of D.O.D. We understood how to move Bigly Clean into the future and what will be the future of service businesses. We realized that this hyper-connectedness is what we need. We need our company to be hyper-connected between departments, for our team, for the decisions we're making. Everything needs to be hyper-connected. So the next piece to this is, once we realized that, after hyper-connectedness, it was, okay, well, we need, developing is an important piece of this, right? How do you develop? It's custom software at the end of the day. How do we develop this? Now, for me, luckily, the technology came out where you're able to use AI coding agents. So essentially, you're able to build with code using AI. For example, a Claude Code or Codex. This is exactly what I use to build these 4 layers that I just mentioned for Bigly Clean. Now, the good part is you don't need to be a developer, right? All of this, like AI coding agents, simply put, is you are just typing into AI, right? And then on the back end, it's coding. And I say that as someone who is non-technical a couple of years ago. I've put myself fully into this world, over 1,000 hours now, specifically just developing using Claude Code for Bigly Clean. And I know I'm still, of course, very early in the process. However, with that, there are legitimate abilities with this tech, and you're able to build truly valuable software. And so that's what we did. So point is, you can use this stuff. You can go in and you can build using these. Of course, always important to get professionals' opinions, whether it's architecture, security, the important things that you need to know to keep your company's data and information safe. That is where I believe having those conversations is so critical. And for me and myself, Bigly Clean, that is what we did as well. We had conversations. We made sure that we understood the key pieces of this, and what we needed to focus on were getting opinions from professionals. So the next piece of this is going to be explaining how do you actually get the data, right? How do I do all of the stuff that I've just mentioned, the solution? For me, when I thought about it, like I mentioned, getting all the ingested data in one department, what was key to me was thinking, first analyzing, what are the data points I need? What data sources contribute to this department, whether it's sales, marketing, finance, compliance, employees, subcontractors, right? Hiring, recruiting, anything that I have. I was thinking the first thing was, and account management, of course, right? The one that we were solving for initially. How do we find every single data point? I don't want anything going missing. And that was thinking of what softwares do we use? Once we went through that, we understood every single software that we use, or any software that's tied to it or has some level of communication or organization tied to it. Then we were able to go ahead, take that information, and we were able to integrate it with our system. So essentially have our coding agents find all the tied information that has a data source that's tied to the actual department. Again, we used AI coding agents to do this and to go through and help us work through this process. Without them, it would be very, very challenging, a lot of work and a lot of time. So that was the first piece, getting the data. Now, here I have a visual of what it looks like with all the different data sources that we have. This is an outdated version, but as you can see, like there's different departments that have all these different integrated softwares, and this is where all the data sources are coming. So there's multiple layers of it. There's communication, there's organization. As deep as you want to go with thinking about how the data is ingested is as deep as you need to go. But I do think it's key to get a full picture and understand, what is truly contributing to the data for the specific department. So after getting the data, the next piece of this is seeing the data clearly, and this ties to the data organization. So the critical piece here is that you and your team need to see the dashboards in the way that you want specifically. This ties back to that client that we lost, right? We didn't have the insight or data to understand why the client had gone quiet. We didn't know there was a pattern there. We didn't know that a client going quiet to a certain extent can be good, but going quiet for a long time is not good. So for us, the issue there was that we weren't mature enough yet. We didn't, in terms of data organization and understanding. And really, that contributed to the problem of we were not able to see data clearly. And we didn't have the data organized in a way that we needed to. So from here, what we do is we built we used AI coding agents to develop custom dashboards. And from here, the goal was making them malleable. How can we make sure that they can change over time? If we need adjustments, if we need things to change over time, or we need to view these in different ways visually, how can we change it? How can we make sure that they're valuable to us in a way that they're not just presenting information, but they're giving us information that we're using to make decisions? That was the key thing there. That versus a rigid, large dashboard of one of these massive sales companies, right? You have the CRM, you can see how it works, but you can't change the visual layout. that is something was important to me because there's different visual layouts for different individuals on the team, and sometimes over time, what you want to see evolves and it changes, and then you need to adjust that. But if you have the same rigid system, you cannot do that. So that was the second part. Building custom dashboards to review the data clearly and show it to me in a way that I need to see it, my team needs to see it, and then be able to evolve with it over time. Now, once we had these dashboards in place, that was a big turning point for us, because then we realized, okay, we have all the data here, like it's organized in the way we want to, we get it, it's clear now, we understand what's happening, but how do we go about extracting the important data quickly? And the key piece for this was building bots on top of it. Now, a lot of people learning about AI or involved in AI coding agents, bots are a big thing, right? How you communicate, how you understand, building out custom layers of communication with your company, all this is very important. Having the correct data layered, though, underneath it was critical, and once we had that, we were able to really create value with the bots that we weren't before. So what was really important for us was using these bots to extract the key pieces that we weren't able to find on like a face kind of visual of our graph. So for example, if we needed to find specific information for our sales dashboard that, let's say we're looking to understand, how many of our clients that we closed in the past month, how many of those came from form lead versus phone call? And then additionally, what was the closing rate that we had for each of those types of sources? And then on top of that, can you make a report, please, that shows me which was more impactful and which one had better chances, or have better chances of us bringing in more business for the next 2 months, depending on the cycle that we're in, which you can understand based on looking at the history of our company, right? All this stuff, right? That is like very in depth. If you asked an employee to do that, or you wanted to do that yourself, you would have to go through multiple search processes. You'd have to understand where this information is stored, how to find it, how to digest it, right? But building bots on top of this properly formatted data that's properly extracted and provides a complete picture is going to allow you to get that information. And then when I view that information and I get it clearly, I'm able to make a decision. Okay, now I know. Now I know what we're supposed to do is this worked better. Phone calls worked better than form leads. Let's focus this next month on how to increase the amount of phone calls that we get. So that right there is, to me, the value with bots is being able to extract data quickly that you might not have been able to from a face value. So once you're able to extract the data quickly, you have all this setup of the complete picture of the actual data coming in. It's visualized in a way that it's clear. You can make decisions properly off of it, and then you have communication layer to really understand it deep. Then came, okay, how can we now move faster? How can we move at hyperspeed? And the key piece to this was we wanted a company brain. We wanted a brain that didn't just knew us, but it knew the dashboard, it knew our history, it was intelligent, it learned about us, it knew our branding, right? All this stuff that I think, as a founder for me, it was, well, how can I replicate my brain? How can I allow this system to be smarter, to be like another version of myself? And what I wanted there was for it to really be able to build things. And I think this is where AI coding agents are so cool and so impressive, is that you can utilize them to really build out custom brand pieces, standard operating procedures, proposals, draft emails, send emails, whatever it is that you need. There's a good chance that AI coding agents can do it. And for us, at this point, moving at hyperspeed, that was, hey, we want a brain. We want something that can replicate how we think and how we build, and then do it. So this really came into play where we developed the brain to have a full understanding of all the departments that we have built out. It has an idea of how the software, or how the software per each department is working, what data it's creating, what data it's giving it to the dashboards, how the dashboards are working, how the layout is, our company in general, what's working, what's not working, the patterns, good and bad, that are happening. This is where we wanted the brain to understand that, so the brain could guide us in the future. It can be intelligent, and it can tell us, hey guys, just so you know, we have a pattern that's occurring right now that we see, and we think that this result is going to happen because we've seen this before. If you take X, Y, and Z actions, we have a chance of solving before the issue occurs. Or hey guys, we see this pattern occurring in a positive light. If you continue to do this, we think that you'll have this result. If you continue to send these check-ins where you're essentially upselling or providing these clients with these different types of work, we think that based on buying schedule and seasonality, they will purchase in X month. So keep doing that. Make sure you do that, right? That's what we wanted. True intelligence to help us make decisions, save us time, make us money. So that is the key piece of this, really, the brain. That's what really tied this all together. And for us, I think having hyper-connectedness, attacking that issue of D.O.D, once we solved it, we were able to understand truly this is what adapting feels like in the future for commercial cleaning. And this idea of hyper-connectedness, it allowed us to move 10 times faster. We were more efficient, better services, we were chosen more by customers, we were lighter on our feet, and we were adapting more. And for Bigly Clean, it's just a rocket ship using this. So really the barrier here for a lot of companies, you might ask yourself, okay, well, that all sounds good, Matt. Doing all this sounds amazing. I can see how it's part of the future for my company, but there's a big barrier. And it's one that I faced quickly with doing this. And it was change management, right? It's going in, it's essentially trying to create this change with your company, with your team, and pain can feel, or change can be really painful for a lot of people. And my hardest sell, funny enough, was my own business partner, Nash. So Nash was very against AI when I first kind of brought this all up and we thought about doing automations and building all this. And his beliefs was that, hey, we were working, what we were doing was working. AI is going to make our business robotic and take out the human version of us that, or the human connection that makes our business special. And, I completely understood what he was saying to a point, but for me, once I started using this and seeing the value, that's where I realized this is something more than that. So with change management, how that actually came into effect. Eventually, one day, Nash went on a walkthrough. Typically with walkthroughs or a sales process, we'll go ahead and we will present to, or we'll do the walk with the client, and then after we'll present to them a bid package that we'll make. This bid package, typically we will, while we record the site and we see, we see everything that's in the site and we see the square footage and the space and what needs to be cleaned and what's on the scope, we will take that and then we will make a bid package after that. Typically manual, will take around 45 to an hour to make it if we want to make it really good. And with that, I used the AI coding agents to build out part of that sales department to really have a proposal expediting a solution to it. So basically what we would do is we'd take the video, we would add in the video, and then once it's added in, I built out our solution to go ahead and analyze the complete transcript, to develop the pain points, to understand what we're solving for them, fully, and then communicate it in the bid package, and then additionally take the whole scope from the video, add the scope in, understand the frequency, add in the frequency, so that all we had to do as a team was really collect the pricing and then review. Additionally, all this was branded to our company. It had pictures, it had references, everything that we needed. This would typically take us, like I said, 45 minutes to 1 hour to make a really good presentation, not just an average one. That could take 15 to 20 minutes, but a really good one. This took me 2 minutes. Now, when I put this in front of Nash's face, he finished the walkthrough. By the time he got home and I put this on his desk, I said, here it is. It's already done, and it's better than we could have even made it taking an hour. You don't have to take an hour right now to build this. Here it is. Look at it. Tell me what you think. From that point forward, Nash realized that, hey, this stuff is the future, how little time it took, how valuable it was. And from there, that was the big change. That was the change management for us. That piece handled there was when you can put this in front of your team, create value, save them time, or make money. To me, that is when change management can be overcome, but it needs to be overcome in that sense. So that was the key piece for us. And from there, it was just pure growth and implementation. So, and it's a big piece of it. Implementation is a very big part of it. Once you have people that believe in this and can see the value, then it's about implementation. And implementation ties to iteration as well, because it's not going to go perfectly. It's important to figure out how to build all this. So the way that we did it, we build it one department at a time. As I told you in the beginning of this presentation, we had an account management problem. We didn't have the data, and we weren't able to make the correct decisions because we weren't able to do that. So my game plan was starting from scratch. How can we develop the account management dashboard, and how can we solve for where it hurt most? That was the key piece. I wanted to build all this out for every department. The ideas were flowing. I was very excited to build all this out for everything, but I realized we need to take it slow and really solve for where we're bleeding, which was account management. So from there, I built it in order, and we implemented these step by step. So went through with AI coding agents. We were able to solve the data ingestion. We were able to go ahead and build the customizable dashboard for the account management department, develop the bot on top of that we can communicate to, and then lastly, the brain that can make decisions, build things, and help us. And once we had that built out, we were able to build things. Now, this was the coolest part to me, was now that we had this all developed, we were able to build out automations. We were able to create efficiencies. We were able to optimize the department further and further and further. And this allowed us to really just explode from a sense of taking care of our clients, and then additionally from a sense of even on sales prospects, when we're going through and we're presenting this to them, explaining this is a value that we have, we're able to do all this. This is our tech story. And I think so little commercial cleaning companies are pushing for a tech story today, but the ones that have it, and I can definitely vouch for this, the ones that have it, it will make a huge difference in the sales process. And we have seen that in our sales processes, and how the success and the rates we've been having because of this, because of these conversations we're having, it's making a huge difference. And it's pretty clear that this is the future to me. So our system, it's evolved over time now, and the way that we essentially build from here is we know how departments are developed for our company. We know how we create hyper efficiencies and how we hyper connect everything. Our brain, what we really wanted was it to evolve over time with us, with our company. Now it can develop custom standard operating procedures, reports at the snap of fingers, PDFs. It can draft and send emails. It can build proposals. All of that, extremely quality as well. It does it really well because it's seen what it looks like. It's seen what our company has produced and made and sent, and the patterns that have been developed, both good and bad. And we've been able to have the system evolve over time to essentially be proactive with us, which was the key. Now, what I will say, building out systems like this, I mentioned earlier, having professional insight into certain aspects of this, for example, security or architecture, very, very critical. For us, this was something that not only, we didn't realize it only on the security and architecture side, but also on the marketing side, doing SEO. With where the actual nature of SEO is today, my belief is that I think that you can do a good job with SEO. Good. I think that you can get some results, and you can utilize systems like this, whether it's AI or AI coding agents, and you develop your own dashboard. I think you can do that. However, to me, this is routed into the security and architecture side. To me, this is something that you need professionals for to really do well in, and to really explode on that side. I think there's other departments where it's different. I think there's professionalism required for SEO, and I'd say that because I've tried that myself. So I try to guide other commercial cleaning companies that I talk to in finding a really solid SEO company that knows what they're talking about, that knows the ins and outs and technicalities, and having them help you grow, and using their services to actually grow. We specifically use a company named Simplex 360, and Dave is the owner there. Their company, for me, once we started working with them, showed me what professional SEO was like. And the reason that I mention this on this presentation is because, like I said, with the actual professionalism aspect, there's specific systems that I've tried to take control of, if you will. Once you learn how to use AI coding agents and build, right, you can pretty much build what you want. But the issue is some of these things like security, like SEO, like architecture, they develop experience, and there's a lot of nuance to them. So I say that because I don't want to make this presentation, then people go out thinking they can build every single thing of this or system and department, and it's going to go perfectly and have the best results. What I've found was that you can do it with a lot of it, but specifically on marketing, security, and architecture, those are three that I've found where I needed to lean on professional help, and I needed assistance to actually make sure that we got the results I was looking for. So that's one piece of how our system has evolved, has been just understanding of we need professional assistance in some of this, and I think that's a key part of it for all companies looking to do stuff like this. The next piece is we developed a tiered control system where employees have specific usage restrictions in our system. So certain employees will be able to do certain things in certain departments. Very, very key for us, making sure that we have that security set up. And I think that a lot of companies can resonate with that, specifically with the talent that they have part of their company and what they want them doing and seeing. That was a key part too. Additionally, for us, we're able to track as well who's spending time where in the system. It allows us from a time management perspective and also from a managerial sense to understand how our people are allocating time, what they're doing, and then it gives us an idea of how we can we're just getting more data. This system in general it's data flowing to us, and we're from everywhere and increasing the amount of data we have. So once we know how our employees are working, we're able to make them better, create more efficiencies, and have them, change what they're doing if they need to, or if they're doing things really well, increase what they're doing, and then show our other employees this is what success is looking like. So that is the third piece to it. The last one is our brain is truly developing the patterns. So it's learning the successes, it's learning the failures, it's telling us essentially what can happen in any department before we even see it. And to us, this has made a massive difference in the amount of time that we're able to save and decisions that we're making and the money we're making. And in all those areas, there's just so many examples of how having a company brain that knows your company, the history of your company. For us, it goes back years. Our company can know what happened in March of 2023. It could know what happened 3 months ago. It could tell us from a marketing lens how things tie into the compliance department. It has a full visual of everything, and it can build things out, can build automations, it can develop standard operating procedures, and it gets me really excited because as I'm talking about it, you can hear more and more just like your brain's probably turning with, wow, it's not only the future of commercial cleaning, it's the future of all service businesses because it's hyper-connectedness. It's the future, it's hyper-connectedness. So the reason why I'm showing this all and really explaining what the trade secrets are to Big League Clean and how I've built this out is because it is my mission to pioneer this tech, which is what I believe to be the most valuable AI for small to mid BSCs that the cleaning industry has ever seen, and not let people get left behind in the new age of tech. And I think the way to do that is to simplify this. It's to simplify it, break it down into layers, into pieces, into ideas, and then from there, once you have an understanding of what each of those are, you can attack each piece by piece. Because I truly think that this here, the companies that do not adapt, do not have hyper-connectedness, that don't have the data that you need to have in the modern day to make decisions and to win as a BSC are the ones that are going to fall behind. And in 5 years from now, hopefully they're still around, but with the technology and the companies that do use this, the advancements that they make, I think there's going to be a really big difference that happens between now and then to the companies that do decide to go ahead and do things like this. Now, with Big League Clean, with what I've seen with us is the amount of power in our sales process, in client retention, in our overall business has grown tenfold. And we've even seen, we go into accounts that are with big commercial cleaning companies that have nationwide presence, and it's getting to the point where we have this tech story that's so advanced that these companies see it, the prospects see it, and they realize that it's a true difference in quality and in vision as well. And I think it's getting to a point where the benefits are far outweighing just standard positioning as a commercial cleaning company. Now, I've shown how to build this, what the key aspects are. There's a lot of pieces to this. It is not simple to do on your own. It takes a lot of time, a lot of thinking, a lot of iteration, and it costs money to do it as well, to pay for coding agents, pay for tokens. I've developed this into a software that obviously Big League Clean uses, and now I am building this out further for a select amount of companies, and I call it hyperstacking. The idea of hyperstacking is kind of what I just explained this whole presentation It's a connected system of different layers that have your cleaning company connected. And there's a couple ways you could walk out of this session. The first one is you can build this yourself. You can build these components yourself. If you want an idea of how it would look, how it's broken down, the clear idea explained visually, I have it all laid out at hyperstacking.com. That's www.hyperstacking.com. I'm developing hyperstacking for commercial use for a handful of companies. And the way that I'm doing that is going to be white glove, essentially building out each specific department, each tab, each data ingestion down to the specific data point in the click path for these companies. It will take a good amount of work in developing it to be what they want. And for me, this is going to just help develop the product. Now, once this is been done and we have a really good development from what companies want and essentially the beta users, the intro users to the product, then the next step is taking this and pushing it nationwide to all commercial cleaning companies, all BSCs. And my goal is to have it be affordable, have it be simple, easy to use, and then be incredibly valuable. The second that a company gets onto hyperstacking, I want that department that they've been struggling and bleeding from to connect to their company brain and for that to tell them what is happening, the patterns there, and how to solve it. That is my goal. Like I said, the first piece here is just helping companies that are interested in doing this, building it with them. And again, the name is Hyperstacking. Hyperstacking.com is the website. My name is Matt Christou, once again, co-founder of Big League Clean. And if you want to reach out to me, my LinkedIn is Matthew Christou, Christou. MattChristou.com is my personal website. And then, of course, hyperstacking.com is our website for the software. And then bigleagueclean.com is my commercial cleaning company's page. So that is all I have today. Thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to chat.